All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of SoFi Weekly. It is August 18th, 2023, and we've got a lot to talk about in the world of SoFi. Tanner,
Hello.
what the hell are we talking about today?
So there's been some news. Steven and Tevis are also here. There's been some news today that I'd love to talk about. The Federal Reserve actually just announced the all the different banks commercial assets and everything like this. The assets that they have under management was just released. SoFi, where they rank, is always a fun part to guess on. And Amit, have you seen this information just yet or no?
I saw the Kyle's tweet that SoFi is the number 90th bank in the United States. But that's
correct. We're number 90 now. We're flying
17 billion
up the ranks.
17 billion assets.
You want to throw it up on the screen?
Yeah, I'll throw it up right now.
So we broke into the top 100. I mean, that was the last update that we had. We were what, 127, something like that, 141.
Yeah, so something like that. But I think it's really interesting, especially this is also June 30th. This is not even today's numbers. This is June 30th's numbers. So we might even be higher than this. And one of the numbers just on this tweet, it doesn't show you the full thing. So I'll bring it up if possible. But if we go down to like other banks that have also closed out with similar numbers from us before, like, for example, Lending Club is stuck at 156 right now. If you could share that, Amit.
And financial
Lending Club's all the way down at 156 still. They had their bank charter before us. But due to our growth, we've actually surpassed them. At one point, they were higher than us. And now SoFi is climbing the ranks. And I don't think that this is going to change. I think that we're going to continue to climb all the way up. And,
it is pretty impressive, to be honest.
It's insanely impressive. It's very, very impressive. I'm very happy with this company. I think everyone should be.
Steve, what are your thoughts on this?
Mine?
No, Steve.
I don't think it's anything that we should be surprised about.
Nothing to be surprised at all about this?
Why would anybody be surprised?
Well, I mean, it's a small little $8 billion company. That's the 90th institution in America. It's pretty surprising.
Okay. And we're going to be a top 10, so I'm not surprised.
By market cap.
That's right. Top 10 by market cap.
Yeah. Which I think due to our growth will also come with a large valuation as well. I mean, in terms of multiples. But still, these are hard numbers right here. And I'm excited with the growth, really. Like, I think I was talking about this with Tevis. I think that there's a lot of companies with a lot of hype behind them, but then whenever numbers actually report, they disappoint constantly. And the example I used for that was Snapchat. I find that the opportunity for Snapchat, people get so excited about 700 plus million monthly active users. People get so enthusiastic about that company. And it always runs up all the way to earnings and then completely disappoints. And then it goes back down. And that's been the Snapchat classic. And
I wish Zuckerberg would just buy them and put me out of my misery.
You own Snapchat? Steve?
By proxy, yes.
Why would he buy them when he can just copy everything they do?
And that's what he's done.
Yeah.
Like, but then on the other hand, you have companies that for some reason hold these very pessimistic views, like SoFi, for example, where people are just constantly throwing out new bear cases. But then once earning hits, it's like a drop until earnings hits. And then it proves that, we've completely beat. And that this, although there's a bunch of things that we could hate on, the execution is actually much, much better. And I guarantee you, over the long term, I would put a lot of money down on this claim that the companies with no hype and largely based on execution versus the opposite of hype and no execution, that this side, the SoFi side, will outperform, the Snapchat performers of the world. And I'm just very happy with, even when the stock goes down, it's just allowing investors to get in at better prices. That's all.
Speaking of the stock going down, we can talk a little bit about some of the stock price action this week. Kind of changed from last week. I think last week we ended at 850, and right now we're at like maybe 820. Even though we went below 8 at one point. Tevis, I believe you introduced net new funds into your account. How did you interpret the SoFi price action this week, along with price target upgrades we got from some other banks?
Yeah, I bought, so that's how I interpreted it.
You know what's so funny is that that Twitter thing that they posted like, congratulations, you just got net new funds. I thought that was so.
I thought that was real for a while, and I was like, at the Zoom.
I thought it was real too.
What?
Really?
Yeah, I thought it was real. I was like, oh shit, like that's cool. And then I realized it was.
Yeah.
I zoomed in for like 1 second and I was like, oh, the fonts are different. I was like, okay. Because I was like, either this is like hilarious or there's someone on their team that like follows us and is making memes through their job.
Nevis, you want to explain what the origin stories of net new funds are?
Yeah, I overcomplicate words sometimes, and instead of saying I'm getting paid next week, I said I have net new funds coming into the account next week, and these degenerates adopted it, and then people watching adopted it, and so now everybody says net new funds, which is kind of funny.
And we're gonna have shirts soon with net new funds on them. That's gonna be.
Yeah, somebody asked for a shirt, so I was working on that earlier, like right before the pod. So,
Amit, why don't we have shirts?
copyright infringement probably on their logo.
No, I don't think they would give a fuck, bro. They're so small. Only Nike cares about that, and even then, they don't give a fuck about that. I mean,
SoFi's not going to care if you put their logo on a shirt.
no, bro. It's free marketing for them. You think their PR team is gonna reach out like, "Hey, take that down"? Like, I really doubt that would happen. Or, I mean, if
Do
it
you think
does,
Noto
that's a
comes
stupid
on the-
move by Noto.
Do you think Noto comes on the podcast if we're all just wearing like bootleg merch of his stuff?
I don't think Noto is ever coming on the podcast until SoFi reaches a point of financial stability. He's not going to threaten engaging with retail.
Noto, I DM'd you. Please get back to me.
Okay, so what else? What else happened this week in the world of SoFi? We got the
Can we
90th.
talk about the 13F filings, please?
Okay, yes, let's talk about that. That's important. Go ahead, Steve.
So, did anybody look through Whale Wisdom?
Yes.
Okay, what did you notice?
Well,
Careful with what you're about to say,
the site had.
Why do I need to be careful with what I'm about to say?
because I think you're going to be incorrect. Go ahead.
Side bet?
Side bet.
Okay, message me how much.
Well, I don't even know what you're about to.
Okay, but you said that. Yeah, but you're the
Are
one.
you about
that
to say a
issued
bunch
it.
of banks? Are you about to say that a bunch of banks just bought?
I'm
Steve.
about to say something, and I haven't.
First of all, I'm the one who said I checked out the website. You didn't even let me fucking finish. I was gonna say I went on Whale Wisdom, and there was a
Yes.
whale with a light bulb over its head, showcasing its wisdom, and I thought it was an incredibly interesting website. As a
It's a
result,
great website.
Always
Anyway,
that website. Yeah, that's it. That's what I saw.
didn't Morgan Stanley have a low price target for SoFi?
Okay, Tanner's right. You're gonna be wrong on this.
So is Whale Wisdom incorrect? That
No.
No.
So Morgan Stanley loaded up 5.6 million shares, but it's on behalf of their clients, not the bank itself that bought SoFi. Chris Hager actually clarified this on.
Okay,
Yeah.
what
Same with
about
JP
gold?
Morgan,
Is
I
that
think.
the same thing?
Sorry.
Tanner, is it the same thing?
Because
What I was going to say is what Amit was going to say. Yeah.
shouldn't this be for their funds that they have, not on behalf of clients? Because why would they have to disclose what? So look, I have somebody at Morgan that controls an account for me. Whatever he does, I doubt is getting reported in Morgan Stanley's 13F filings.
So Chris says, I was mistaken that MS bought these directly. They are custodians for other investors. So the post should have said also Morgan Stanley buys 5.6 million for their clients, increasing total custodial position to 86% to 12.2 million shares.
No, but I get what Steven's saying. So although it could be held as custodian for other clients, they would still have final say on what the they're still the fund managers. They're still picking the stocks and what
So-
they like.
So what I'm saying is Morgan Stanley has a lot of different investment products, the same way that Vanguard or State Street or BlackRock does. They have a lot of proprietary funds that they establish for their clients. I can't see that Morgan or Goldman or Bank of America, when they're reporting a 13F, is putting on the filing what is changing hands in individual accounts. I would think it's what they're buying for their products. Now, I could be wrong, but that just makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, I mean, if it is, let's say mutual funds or private wealth or something like that, then I mean, yeah, it's still their call necessarily to make those purchases. Even if it is on behalf of their clients, they still believe that it's going to outperform other positions that they could have purchased.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, in that case, then yeah.
Yeah, I just
at
don't
least
think that
that's
they're
what I would
going through
believe.
private accounts and putting that on a 13F filing.
Yeah. I just saw the correction. There was a bunch of people, bugging Chris in his DMs about it, and I was like, oh, I couldn't find anything on it, but there was a lot of people quite stern on the idea that was.
So
not true.
Vanguard had increased their position by 4.27 million shares. You can have a brokerage account through Vanguard and buy individual equities, but not many people do that. Most people who have a Vanguard account set it up so they pay less when they are purchasing funds that Vanguard manages. And I would speculate that 4.27 million shares that Vanguard reported was inflows to their different ETF and mutual fund products, not what individual investors are holding in their personal accounts as an individual equity.
Yeah. I truly don't know the answer. I'm sure we'll hear something about it tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll look into it, but it's interesting because JP Morgan had 2 million shares purchased. I mean, a lot of institutions are wrong.
Can I share my screen then in that case?
Yeah, go for it. By the way, how old are you, Tanner? How old are you, Tanner?
I'm 25. Is he an adult? I'm the same age as Amit. I think we're like a week apart.
Like you.
What?
I said, could you imagine a 12-year-old doing analysis like you? That'd be like hilarious.
Where's your mic?
Oh, sorry. Were you guys not hearing me? Okay.
It was quiet. Can you share my? I'm not even sharing it myself. Sorry, my bad. Okay. These were some of the notable ones that I had looked at, but never disclosed this as I saw on Twitter that it may not have been correct. But Morgan Stanley increased their holdings by 86%, going from 6.5 million shares to 12.1 million shares, and add a 5.6 million. JP Morgan added 2 million, increase of 52%. Bank of America added 2.6 million, an increase of 110%, and Citigroup increased their holdings by 29%, an increase of 485,000 to 2.2 million. Those were some of the really notable big banks that had purchased. There was obviously other institutions, but yeah.
They bought the dip.
So look, I want to share this. Tanner, you can read it and give us your opinion.
Okay.
What does that say?
Where? Where? You're going to need to zoom in. Morgan Stanley is based out of New York. Morgan Stanley is a large advisory firm. Like, it's so small, man. It's tiny for me. Is a large advisory firm with 1,017 clients in discretionary assets under management, AUM of 137 billion.
That's all you need to read. So 1,017 clients. That does not sound like individual. That sounds more like companies that they are creating investment products for.
Potentially, yeah. Yeah.
So I would love to figure out how we can get clarification on that, because I just have a very hard time believing that they're going through everybody's individual accounts and adding that to a 13F filing. That just wouldn't make sense.
People in the chat are saying I'm getting more bearish on SoFi these days.
Why?
What is bearish about what I'm saying? You know why they're saying this? Is
because you're trying to become the Ronaldo of podcasting instead of Amit, and you're making Robinhood versus SoFi videos.
Did you not like the video?
We should talk about that.
I didn't have time to watch it. I just saw it come up in my YouTube feed.
So Hager tweeted today that Robinhood, that SoFi overtook Robinhood on the iOS charts and the Android charts, which is really great for SoFi.
So I created pages of charts.
Right. Which begs the question, do we think it's possible for SoFi to break 584,000 members? Because I don't expect them to. I mean, I want them to grow, but I don't have I feel like it's a little bit ridiculous to expect them to do like 620,000.
Yeah, but last quarter you would have said it was ridiculous for them to do 584,000.
But 584 is so ridiculous for them to top that would be like
Is it though?
crazy.
I mean, admit, think about it.
Really.
They have an inflow of people every year that need banking because they're going after a younger demographic. And we're going into football season. We're going into major exposure season for SoFi. So I wouldn't be surprised either way. But if they're going to get to where they're going to get to, they're going to need to grow by more than 600,000 a quarter.
I don't know if they need to get 600,000 a quarter to grow as fast as we
Yeah,
want.
they do, man.
They do.
Why?
Because the total number of people get bigger, and if you don't have a bigger number that you're adding every quarter, then you're lowering your percentage of
Yeah,
growth.
but let's say they add 500,000 versus
Moving
580.
yardstick.
What if they add 500 versus 584 next quarter?
Then it's going to come out as like 9% instead of 10%, which is what 600,000 is going to come out of.
That's my
Okay,
point.
wait.
I don't know if it needs, because we were all expecting 480, 470, 430. We got 584. Do we really need 640 next quarter?
You're
Or
going to see an acceleration in terms of member growth.
But how do you know that? That's my question. How do you know that's going to happen?
He doesn't know that.
What do you
That's
mean?
what I'm saying. None of you guys know that. I feel like this quarter was kind of an anomaly.
Anthony Noto literally said we're aiming for 800,000 to 1 million members in 2024, 2025. How do you think he's going to get that? Just by praying and wishing and magic?
Okay,
no,
so
they're going to
so
put more sales and marketing spend when the rates start to come down. And
Hold on. 800 a quarter? Is what
yes,
he's saying?
man.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, he did say that.
Okay.
He said 800 to 1 million a quarter. That's going to happen. But what I'm saying is, I'm not. You're talking years away. You're talking 2024, 25. Let's talk
24 is 2 quarters away.
Okay, let's talk next quarter. Let's talk this quarter that we're in. Okay, and he's not talking Q1 of 2024. I guarantee you that. Another promise that he also said is that profitability is going to happen by Q4. Okay, in Q1 of 2023, we did negative 34 million. In Q2 of 2023, we did negative 48 million. We're going away from that. But you think that he's going to ramp up sales and marketing and get down?
Bro. How are we going to get GAAP profitable?
We're not going to get GAAP profitable if we add more and more members.
That's a good point. That's a fucking
Didn't
great
we
point.
Didn't we lower sales and marketing spend as a
As a per member basis,
But that's
because
only
we added
because we
so
have a
many,
bigger
but the number went
denominator.
up.
Yeah, that's only because there's a bigger denominator. That's it.
Look, what I'm saying is, if you subscribe to the notion that we're going to add 800,000 sometime in 2024, that's not going to be like a night and day switch. They're not going to flip a switch and go from 500 one quarter to 800 the next quarter. It's going to be a gradual ramp up. And so you're going to have 580. You're going to have, maybe 600.
All right, let's make a bet.
Maybe 650. Sure, man. Let's make a bet.
I don't think we're beating 584 next quarter.
Okay, fine. I mean, Tanner already said that like 2 weeks ago.
I know. He loves it, eh?
I'm so confused why you guys think it's a given that we have to spend a lot of fucking money for that. The only way I see that happening is student loans accelerate, and so we get members de facto because of student loans, maybe. But
that'll happen in Q4, not Q3.
Okay, so then how are we beating 584 next quarter?
We may not, and even if we don't in one quarter, over the next several quarters, you're going to have to see a staircase going up to new levels to get to where they're saying that we're going to get to.
I agree.
And you have student loans come back in October, so I would expect a jolt in Q4. Football season is here, so look, I wouldn't be surprised if we come in at 550. I wouldn't be surprised if we come in at 625.
Right, and the thing that really changed my mind, at least a bit, is like when we made the member predictions before Q2, I wasn't the most bullish. I'm trying to read the comments to see what Tanner's laughing.
No, I saw someone write Taylor added 100,000. That got me.
Okay, so look, I wasn't the most bullish on the member counts before before Q2 came out during our predictions. But what they proved on Q2 was that they could simultaneously increase the member additions while driving towards that profitability. Like
how's that driving towards profitability?
Financial services with -4 million. What are you saying?
We went further away in net income. I don't care about
In
contribution. That's
all
contribution profit.
fairness, the reason that we went further away is because cost of services provided increased and salaries and employee benefits increased.
Yeah, and so what's going to happen? Are employee benefits going to get slashed in the next 2 quarters?
And they did from Q4 to Q1.
And then
they
what,
did
like-
from Q3 2022 to Q4. And
I'm
they did the quarter before that.
I just don't see how. Okay, so one thing.
Some of that could have been stock awards.
Mhm.
So look, we don't have the numbers that they have, and it's not worth speculating on that point, because if they say they're going to hit GAAP profitability in Q4, doesn't matter what they do in Q3. Doesn't matter, because they're not saying they're going to hit GAAP profitability in Q3.
Well, okay, but they can't have a bizarre Q4 either. Like,
what do you mean by bizarre?
Like 0 sales and marketing. The company turns off all commercials. Like, absolutely go like.
No, they're not going to.
Dude, they're definitely not going to. It's football season.
But okay, so Tanner, but I think from the.
Okay, wait. Can I just address that comment, by the way, that Tanner is too conservative, blah, blah, blah. I've been the closest on new members for the past 3 quarters in a row. Okay. So it's not me being too conservative. I was, in fact, I had the highest expectations for new members last quarter, and I was still 100,000 off.
What was your number last quarter?
480.
I had 480. I had 479. So literally.
Okay, well, it was no, you didn't. It's written on Twitter. Someone will find it.
I had 479, so you weren't that conservative.
And so anyway, all I'm saying is I'm basing it off of actual numbers. I'm not throwing a dart here. Okay. Let me say something though. I've been wanting to say this. Everyone's talking about the slow ramp up of new members in this network effect, and I do believe in all that, but I think it's slower than people think. I'll go through the number counts. You tell me if this is a slow ramp. 300,000, 350,000, 430,000, 280,000.
Why don't you just bring it up on the screen?
I can. I just feel like I show off my chart too much.
Use SoFi's chart. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Okay.
Tanner, did you just try to brag because you made a fucking Google sheet with some fancy formula?
Everybody screenshot this chart.
Stop sharing. We'll bring up SoFi's.
Wait, no.
This guy really try to claim like ownership over a fucking Google sheet with basic ass formulas?
No. I don't. I'm not saying you guys can't see it. I'm saying Tevis made a comment saying, Amit just wants Tanner for his spreadsheet. So I'm trying to not just like bring them up at every conversation. I've shown these things off all the time. They're like, I'm not claiming ownership.
Bro, I love your spreadsheets. When you spread those sheets wide, you know how fucking.
All right, get rid of his spreadsheet.
Okay, wait, just relax. Okay,
bring up what I just showed, because it has the members from SoFi.
Just relax. It's right here. 200 or practically 300,000, 350, 430.
The audience wants visuals, not numbers.
280, 380, 522, then back to 400, then 450, then 423, then 480, 430. Where is there's no rhyme or reason to this. So people are wondering this weird ramp. We've already hit 500 before, then back down to 400. Where's the ramp there? Tevis?
No, I mean,
I agree with you. I agree with Tanner. I think
Tevis is that we're gonna be forming, even if it is like lower than this quarter, let's say, we're gonna be forming higher and higher lows as we stair step towards 800,000. Right? Like, I wouldn't want them to even put out 800,000 members a quarter if it's a one-off. I want sustainable growth over time. And that stair step is what I'm alluding to. I'm saying, well, look, if Anthony Noto is telling us, hey, 800 is what we're tracking, 800 to 1 million by, let's say, even if it is end of 2024, well, let's break that down quarter by quarter. I know it's not linear, but it's going to be forming higher lows, and that's all I'm saying.
How many times has he promised that 800 to 1 million by late 2024?
What do you mean? How many times?
How many times has he said that publicly?
Like once?
Well, it was once. And then the amount of times that he's promised profitability by Q4 has been countless in every earnings call.
At least the past 3 earnings calls.
So, but Tanner, he's only profitability. He started mentioning it in Q1, right?
In Q1, no, profitability's been the topic ever since.
Sorry, at the beginning of the year. Yeah. So when they reported in Q1 after they reported Q4, right? And that's they've had that on their visibility for this long. I'm saying that, look, 800,000 members per quarter, that could be a new target that they're tracking internally. It's just because he said it in the JP Morgan fireside chat, which was in May, June, something like that. Doesn't mean that he's not going to, he said it once and therefore it's not going to happen. He could be saying it in every single fireside chat from now on.
Bro, my question is just, how does it happen? I don't know football ads.
Think about it like this. You have student loans. So theoretically, he may grab members from student loans coming back on. 2024, the Fed is projected to cut rates to 4.6%. And then in 2025, they're projected to cut rates to 3.4%. You could grab members on the lending side for mortgages through the increased activity through Wyndham. In addition to young adults entering the workforce, teenagers entering the workforce and needing banking and going with cloud first native bank. I mean, there's multiple avenues to get there over the next year or two.
That's correct. My question is for the next quarter, for November. That's the part I'm confused.
Oh, I don't think anybody's saying 800,000 for the next.
No, but I don't even know if we beat 5, because I'm confused how we got 5.
Yeah, do we beat 584? I think that's the question here.
I don't know.
Arbitrary numbers. If you
I don't know.
Look at it.
What do you mean arbitrary?
How's that?
What are you talking about arbitrary? It's not. It's like the basis of the entire company.
I mean, looking at hyper focusing on single quarters is arbitrary. If you look at the wider trend and zoom out, you can see that they're forming higher and higher lows and stair stepping towards those goals of accelerating their growth. My point is, if you look at one single quarter, there could be seasonality, there could be low events, there could be shitty rates. There could be so many other factors that play a part that will deter member growth on one given quarter. I mean, Tanner just showed the chart. It's it's stair steps, but
Kevin, you agree we're not going to beat. You agree we're not going to hit 584 next quarter.
You just proved our point.
You proved our point.
I will be the high. Whatever you guys estimate for next quarter, I will be the highest on all of you in terms of my.
And so my question for the past 20 minutes has been why you are so bullish, because I still can't figure out why. That's the only thing I'm saying.
Because of the number that they released this quarter. The number that they released this quarter was over 100,000 more than any one of us had individually guessed. Means that we're just shooting darts at a dartboard in terms of our numbers, because when the company wants to, or if the company wants to, or if they feel that they can be more aggressive in this market, they can turn on the jets and they can get more members, right? So that has proven to me that, okay, well, they wouldn't have gotten that many members if it was a bad move for them to do so, or if those members weren't, if that juice wasn't worth the squeeze for them. So they deemed it, given their yardstick of being profitable by the end of the year, they still added 100,000 more members than any of us were guessing. My point being that in my mind, at least, shifted the realm of possibility for the company to be more aggressive, whereas before the paradigm was that we were all looking at SoFi to be super conservative this year and aggressive next year. They broke that by having that many members.
Yeah, but net income went into deeper losses. So I agree with you.
Sure, but the net income losses are going to be partially offset by the individual cohorts that are going to be profitable. I mean, look, financial services is going up by 20 something million every single quarter towards the profitability. It's going to be profitable next quarter as well. And they might not be EPS profitable next quarter. It might come in at -2, -3, but personal loans is still increasing. Financial services is still increasing. Their deposits are still increasing. That's going to offset the net losses essentially, so that by Q4, there will be EPS profitability in addition to the member growth numbers.
All I know is that Robinhood is profitable and SoFi is not.
Okay. Fuck out of here.
So I'm not, if you're letting Vlad, who fucking closed the buy button, or sorry, the sell button, get to profitability before Anthony Noto, that's
okay. So, but this is a proving the point. Okay. So Robinhood hit you know,
Oh, by the way, Tanner, you saw their monthly active users? It's back to 11 million, baby, in July. So we came up
back to 11 million. Honestly, it was extremely disappointing. I'll just say that. I'll leave it at that.
11 million
back to
MAUs
11 million?
disappointing? Are you
Back
kidding?
to 11 million, down 11% year over year, Amit? Is that what you're bragging about?
Exactly.
Yeah, you're comparing it to fucking GameStop time. Great comparison. That's like
No,
that's
GameStop
like me
was
comparing
2021,
with
man.
Brad
You're talking
Pitt.
about-
Like there's a difference there.
You're talking about June 2022.
2022.
That was another bearish market.
Well, even then, that's still a catalyst for why there would be less activity. So at the
Even
end of the day-
then,
look, regardless of what you guys have arguments for, Robinhood at a $10 billion valuation or $9 billion at $10, you're paying $3 billion for the brokerage, $6 billion for cash,
I agree.
and a brokerage that's profitable.
I agree.
SoFi's got to get profitable, bro. They got.
I'm not as anti Robinhood after looking at all their numbers, but let's just compare apples to apples here for a second. Robinhood, that just broke profitability right now, added 70,000 new members this quarter. That's the type of cutting that they needed to do in order to break profitability. 70,000. SoFi added more in SoFi Invest alone than, you know what? You know what's so funny? SoFi added more personal loans than Robinhood added brokerage clients. So
yeah, Robinhood's marketing sucks. I'll agree with that. They market.
But so how do we get to profitability if we're going to continue to add 580, 600,000 new members? I just don't see it.
I agree. I think that's why it has to be like 450, 470 to get profitable, because profitability matters the most. If interest rates are going to be at 4% for the next 2 years, or 3,
it does matter the most.
Yeah, I think it matters a lot.
Taylor Swift in football season. Okay, so this person's saying football season. Does this person remember whenever we had the Super Bowl? Because why doesn't someone bring me up the Super Bowl whenever it was hosted at SoFi Stadium and then tell me how many members we added this quarter or that quarter? Because I'll tell you.
But then you're assuming that there's a, like, I guess the underlying question there, Tanner, is like, what degree does it translate to members in that quarter, right? Whereas like,
well, I sure hope whenever people are seeing the advertisement that's when they download.
And a lot of people will. But there's a lot of other people.
You also have to look at it like this. SoFi also grows from word of mouth and from hearing people they know and with user experiences. So if you look at Q1 2022, which was the second to last Super Bowl, because we
added 408,000 members.
We had 3.8 million members.
Okay, we added 523,000 the last quarter.
No, but you got to look at it. It takes time with word of mouth to spread.
I know. But let's compare a spade. Okay, that person said the reason why it's going to be high this quarter is because the T Swifties are out and Super Bowl. Well, if it takes time, then it takes time. It's not going to work this quarter. Like let's compare them evenly then. It doesn't work against his or my argument, but not theirs. So here's the thing. One of the lowest quarters that we've ever announced in terms of new member counts across the board has been whenever the Super Bowl was out in Q1 of 2022. 408,000. The quarter before that was 522,000. So let's be real.
But 408 is a higher low, which is important because the next higher low was 424, then 433. If you look at it from a higher low perspective, across the board, we're always making higher lows on member counts.
Sure.
And that's very important.
Yeah, no, I'm bullish on SoFi. I'm not anti-SoFi. I'm just talking about next quarter's member growth. It's like, guys, there's other things, there's other accomplishments in this company aside from just adding members. And then I think profitability is a big one.
Yeah, the biggest accomplishment is going to be hearing how we get to profitability. There's no question about that.
Yeah.
That's what the market wants. And we need profitability and then sustained profitability. Members come next, but they also go hand in hand because the more members we have, more people utilizing the platform.
Yeah, no, and I mean the 80,000 personal loans that we signed up last quarter will be revenue producing members that goes into contribution profit that goes into our bottom line. Like, I'm aware that the people that we add these quarters will benefit Q4. I just, you know what? The the rate in which we've been getting closer to profitability, even with all those decreases in SBC, we went from 111 million, then 110 million. This is, I'm talking negative in net income. 111, then negative 110, then negative 95, negative 75, negative 40, negative 35, negative 48. Okay, how do we go from 48 to 0? Because we've never made a jump that big, and yet we're going to add 600,000 new record-breaking amount of signups. Jesse Dow is going to get $75 per every single signup. That comes right out of SoFi's pocket.
It's not a hard algorithm to crack. Revenue goes up and total operating expenses stays flat or decreases. Like, it's not a hard equation here.
Like, okay, you said it yourself, right? There's in some of their segments, there's instant payback where a member that they get in Q2 is contributing as early as Q3. Yes?
Say that one more time.
A member that they get in Q2, in terms of personal loans, for example, is positively contributing to SoFi's business, financially speaking, like is paying them money as early as Q3. Like, it's going to be reflected in their financials in the next quarter.
Yeah, so, maybe not positive. Maybe that cohort is not positively, but yes, they would be revenue producing members. Yeah.
So by that logic, and just logic in isolation without looking at any numbers, it would make sense for them to maximize members for Q3 and then minimize members for Q4 so that they can focus on that profitability. So that all the Q3 members contribute to Q4. And then in Q4, I could imagine that they actually don't bring in a lot of members at all, but they don't turn it off as early as Q3 is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I just want to rein in that this is an amazing company, but there's just some projections out there that I just don't, I'm just not a fan of. Like, you know what? Last time I didn't say his name, or Steven didn't say his name, he got angry. But Chris Hager had posted this thing talking about the bear case for SoFi was going to be 2 cents EPS at the end of the year. And I'm like, we're already negative. What is it for income? We're already negative 80 something million dollars. And then potentially maybe Q3 brings on another negative 20 million or something like this. Like, to get 2 cents EPS as a bear case would be like my absolute bull case, bringing in hundreds and like $100 and something million by Q4. I just don't see that happening.
So you think Chris is too bullish, basically?
He did say that he didn't actually feel that the models were accurate to his liking for the first year. But honestly, he probably should have just trimmed it out entirely. Just say, these are my numbers for 2024, 25, 26. Because the 2023 numbers, in my opinion, were just like so off. It was crazy.
I also think that what we haven't talked about yet is the positive financial contribution that both student and home will make towards the back half of the year. Like, those are completely discounted by the market. And I mean, we haven't even talked about those at all.
Sure.
So that, okay, personal loans, what is it? The net interest income, that's growing 10 or 20%, quarter over quarter, or something like that. Financial services is growing by 20 million every single quarter. So by Q4, if we just extrapolate linearly, we're going to be at around 40 million positive. Then you have to think about the student cohort and the home loans cohort, which they're already seeing improvements. What was it, month over month, something like that, with Wyndham that they mentioned on their call. I think that there's a lot of things here, man, that can cushion that net loss to still bring them EPS positive. I'm not saying they're going to be rolling in it, but they're going to be in the green.
But for the year, they're going to be EPS positive. As on an annualized basis. So all the losses that we've made from Q1, Q2, and Q3 are going to be absolved by how big Q4 is going to be.
I don't think that. I think the quarter is going to be EPS positive.
Yeah, me too. Oh, I do. They've guaranteed it. I think 100%. The stock will drop a lot if they're not profitable in Q4. But to say that the gains in Q4 will be enough to absolve all of the losses from Q1, Q2, and Q3, I think is not going to happen.
Steve, go ahead.
No, I was just bringing this up because of what Tevis was saying, with contribution profit from the different sectors. I mean, you look at financial services, it has gone from losing the most it's ever lost in Q2 and Q3 of 2022 to almost breaking even last quarter. When that gets profitable, that's going to be big. And by the trend, you can make an argument that it should be profitable next quarter.
Yeah, but that's contribution profit.
Correct.
Okay, so if the only company or the only business that's not contribution profitable is $4 million, then, you know, let's also add in the, where is it? Let me find on my sheet here. Depreciation and amortization is another negative 50 million. And then stock-based compensation would be an additional potentially 70 million off of that as well once we, you know, increase by 4 million. So there still is losses.
Yeah, but Tanner, all of that could be offset by just the increase in net interest income over the next 2 quarters.
And we don't know how much the revenue is going to increase by. And if those sectors are all profitable and revenue increases and net interest income increases, it could offset everything. But once again, I don't think anybody should go into Q3 thinking we're going to be profitable, because that was never said.
I agree.
Let's not set up an unrealistic expectation here, because the expectation should just be growing on all the metrics into Q4. That should be the only expectation for Q3. Growing adjusted EBITDA, growing revenue, growing members, growing clients on Galileo, growing clients on the fintech side. That should be the expectation.
Yeah. No, trust me, I'm extremely bullish. This is still my number one fintech position. People think I'm anti this company because I'm taking the devil's advocate stance here. But people need to realize, like, if you're not doing this with your positions and questioning them and what management is doing, I think you're doing it wrong.
We have about 20 minutes left. Can we talk about PayPal? Discuss that,
please.
That's a big one.
PayPal?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any more SoFi news, but PayPal it fell 15% this week. I think people would like to know a little bit about that.
I'd love to talk about PayPal.
I'm in it with you now.
Are you?
I'm in it.
Steve wrote an article about it months ago, and he never bought. I thought he was in it.
I had options that never hit.
That never filled the limit?
So I am now a shareholder, yes.
You bought options or shares?
What shares?
Okay, what's your... Go ahead, Tanner, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, first of all, I'd like to know who brought you this position. I'd be very interested to know who kind of like got you into this.
Tanner told me to look into it because he was very bullish on it.
Sorry, who? I missed that.
Some guy named Future Investing.
Okay. And then
some
next...
dildo named Future Investing.
Yeah. And then next, like, who was... I feel like I'm very early on these names. I mean, I was talking about PayPal, not back whenever it was in the hundreds. Okay, I was talking in the like high 50s, early 60s. Now it's just another buying opportunity. Do you think that the company is better or worse than it was last quarter? And this is for all of you.
Steve, you start.
The two of you go, because I'm going to update something while you guys are talking. I'm going to share my screen.
Amit, are you buying PayPal?
Yeah, I'm in PayPal. I bought some more today. And I would actually love to get your take on this whole competition thing. I recently found out that Braintree, which is their unbranded checkout service, is growing 30% year over year, even though the regular business is growing 7% year over year. So that's where I think a lot of people get excited about the valuation, because there's a part of the business that's actually growing really well and can starve off the non-moat that people say PayPal has in fintech, just given their growth. And then on top of that, you're the one, Tanner, who told me that they're doing $5 billion in buybacks. They got $2 billion left for this year, which is like, once they complete it at this valuation, close to 5% of the float, which is just like, I love it. I mean, I don't know how we can't think this is at least a double in the next couple of years. So yeah, I'm in. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I think that whenever people see a company that could be potentially not gaining in market share, maybe losing market share or not growing as fast as their competitors, that they think it's a dead stock. But like, I was talking about this the other day. Like, does that mean it's worth $0? Does that mean it's worth $45? Like, what is your reasoning for thinking that it's a dead company? Because they're still growing. And literally Braintree, I'm not going to say single-handedly. I was going to say that, but Braintree was the main reason I believe Adyen had sunk in stock. Adyen dropped in their share price by 40%. This is the golden child of the payments industry. And they came out and said that competition in North America is just getting extremely strong. And I'm honestly a huge believer that they're talking directly to Braintree. Braintree is setting up pricing models in a way where they're offering core PayPal cheaper than their competitors. And so to get access to 40 plus million people and to get access to better pricing, they're going with Braintree instead of Adyen, which doesn't have that scalability. So it's that same bundling effect that like a Microsoft does with Teams or any of these things. I'm like, I don't know. I'm super bullish. I'm super bullish. I said it the other day, guys. If we were talking about a value stock, because this is the way we should start looking at it now. Like this is really where Steven needs to start shining because he's the value guy. But unlike buying like a cigarette company or something like this that might be considered a value stock, but the total addressable market is slowly decreasing, PayPal is still like the idea that people are using less cash, like Amit said. What do we even need to use cash for these days? And more people are going to be using digital services is still continuing to grow. PayPal is seeing new members. That's not like, that's still the truth.
Steve, go ahead.
All right. So I'm going to say it. I'm going to say a lot of stuff in a very short period of time. Tanner gave me the idea. I think he's 100% correct. And I'm going to go as far as saying I think PayPal is the deepest value stock there is right now.
Whoa. That's
like,
and you guys know that I
was just in the market.
Okay, so the deepest value stock that I look at right now, and I'm going to show you guys why. And you guys know that I run a lot of numbers and I drive myself nuts with this shit.
Yeah, I go to you for every single value stock that I possibly look at. This guy, if you want to know anything about value stocks, I mean, growth stocks kind of off the table, but value stocks, this is your man.
So bring it back. So before I show you the spreadsheet, these two slides in their Q2 presentation are very important. So their free cash, I think that they went down just because the street didn't like the free cash flow and they're overlooking a few things. They are still on track to generate $5 billion of free cash flow in 2023.
Yep.
They are buying back a boatload of stock and not doing acquisitions right now.
Correct.
I mean, they are still slated to buy back another $2 billion worth of shares. So I'm going to share a different screen now.
Wait. Oh, okay.
I can go back.
Just really quick. I just wanted to highlight that acquisition part that you said. The yellow is going away. Like their amount of trying to work on new products organically is increasing. Like, for example, PayPal's Buy Now, Pay Later was created in-house. They're the third biggest competitor for Buy Now, Pay Later worldwide. You're taking a payment processor and turning them into a credit company, and they're starting to build things on their own. That's all I'm saying. So that yellow bar is going to start looking deep, deep blue, which is good for the stock. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and when you look at their buybacks, they've bought back roughly 20% of the company so far. Now, I'm going to share something else, and this is where it gets extremely interesting from a valuation standpoint. All right, so let's make it a little bigger for everybody. Is that too big?
No.
Everybody knows what these tickers are, so we can. Oh, wait, hold on. There we go. Okay. So when I look at these companies, PayPal is trading at 17, almost 18 times free cash flow. They're trading at a forward PE for 2023 earnings at 12. They're trading at a 10.5 PE for 2024. Their EPS is targeted to grow 14% year over year in 2024. Based on the trailing 12-month free cash flow, I mean, they're generating more than Amazon. Now, granted, that's skewed because Amazon has freaking spent a ton on CapEx. But when you look at this, it's a 65 billion market cap. And they're buying back $3 to $5 billion of shares a year. They could buy back the entire company in 13 years. Like, really think about that. So this is a company that has bought back roughly 20% of the company.
Since when?
They're allocating $3 to $5 billion in buybacks. And when you buy back shares, you increase EPS.
Steven, since when?
Since probably 2018 or so. 2014 to 2017, they really didn't do many buybacks.
Yeah, but it really accelerated over the past 5 years.
Yeah.
But since 2014, I think 2014 was their height on shares outstanding. But the big thing is, as Tanner said, if we look at the actual, like, before I go into the actual financials, look at Coca-Cola. I mean, you would think Coca-Cola would be a value company in a way, or you would think that PayPal should have a higher PE than Coke because theoretically it should be able to grow more than Coke. Well, Coke's earnings are only going to grow 7% per the analysts year-over-year growth. I mean, PayPal's going to see 14%, yet PayPal's trading at a freaking half the PE.
This is the cheapest PayPal has ever traded as well. Let's do this question real quick in the chat in its history. PayPal doubles or SoFi doubles first? Which one? You have to pick.
That's a bad question.
Yeah, I can't.
It's a tough question. It's a tough one.
It's too many variables. You can't make it. That's a flip a coin. But if I had to pick, I mean, it's hard because I really do think that that PayPal is going to have a meta moment. I really do. I mean,
well, what's going to be the catalyst for it? The buybacks? Or people just recognize, like, because Meta had the insane growth, I think.
It's not going to be the buybacks. Like,
people are going to realize that they're wrong.
Last year, and the stock is down 80% from its
high. Look at this. 2017, okay, PayPal generated $13 billion in revenue. They generated $28 billion now in the TTM. Gross profits gone from $6.4 billion to $11.8 billion. Profitability has gone from 1.7. Oh, that's earnings from operations. Same thing. 1.79 to $4 billion. Okay, let's look at the share price. The share price over the past 10 years. PayPal is trading where it was in August of 2017, yet it has grown significantly. Even taking the expansion in the 2021 bubble that we're now calling it, it's flatlined the whole way when you take that out and trend it down. You're getting PayPal at the 2017 valuation, and people were happy paying these prices up here until it started going down.
So can someone rationalize, like, we knew Meta fell because of the metaverse and everyone hated the spending. Why exactly is PayPal in this deep value territory? Because if we can rationalize that, we might have a path to see that it's a logical investment.
Can I share my screen?
Yes.
Go ahead. Yep.
Because it breaks down to one number, in my opinion.
TV?
Transaction margin. Can you share my screen?
Yeah, it's popped up now.
Here at the bottom is their transaction margin. This is so we're going from Q1 of 2022 to most recent quarter. So most recent quarter on the right here. And this number has been steadily going down for the most part to the lowest they've ever seen, 45.9%. As, like I said, they're offering Braintree clients better pricing, pricing that they may not even be able to necessarily afford at what.
And Tanner, to be clear, transaction margin is how much margin they make off every transaction that goes through PayPal, correct?
Correct. Yeah. Cost of services for an individual transaction, like cost of goods almost, right? So a more important number necessarily is operation margin or operating margin. That is technically a more important number because then that factors in, the next layer of all their sales and marketing and general and administrative and all those sorts of things. And that number has been doing all right. But the problem is that it's almost like building a strong castle, fixing your foundations, but the castle is sinking underneath. It's like, for example, Robinhood is getting more profitable, but their members could be potentially leaving. So it's not healthy to see that. Like, for example, if I can come up here, non-transaction operating expenses. So the transaction amounts are technically climbing, or they have a smaller take rate. But what they're doing that is not part of those transactions are actually getting better. They're saving things like sales and marketing is just decreasing like crazy. And so people are freaking out about active accounts. It's like, you have no idea. Their investments are going down to a screeching halt. So that's why they keep getting, more profitable. But the transaction margin is sort of their bloodline of the entire company.
So how do they change that? How do they expand the business? I mean, how do they fix the transaction issue?
Yeah, so they did say this is why the stock is falling. There's not a crash like this without a real catalyst. So the catalyst is that 2023 they were going to stop, or they were going to sort of switch off of eBay being an exclusive offer, and then that was going to really affect their take rates. The take rates with eBay versus other competitors was much different. So that was going to hurt. But by 2023, those things were going to get better. Okay. Now they're saying by Q4 of 2023, it's going to get better. So they've kind of pushed the ball, and that's why investors are panicking. Now I find it's such a cheap price that like it doesn't even matter. Like, you know what I mean? It's completely priced in and more.
People can freak out all they want. What matters is profits. And Amit, go to my screen, please. Look at the analysts, okay? And this is what I'm putting a lot of stock in. And I think somebody can look. I think the EPS was like 2 something in 2022. 2023, you got 44 analysts saying that they're going to come in at 495. Another 44 analysts are saying 565 in 2024. And then 22 analysts are saying 633 for 2025. That's not 2 or 3, that's 22. So you're telling me that a stock that's trading at 9 times 2025 earnings should be this low? I mean, that's crazy.
Why is that crazy?
I mean, you have industrials that don't trade at that. I mean, look at Coca-Cola and Pepsi. If you want to say that PayPal's a tech company, you're basically treating PayPal the same way IBM, worse than IBM got treated almost.
Yeah, wow. They're trading at a price to earnings growth ratio, or a PEG ratio, at 0.5 right now.
So, okay. Do me a favor, Tanner and Steven. You got 3 minutes left in the pod. Please make the argument.
By the way, we can go a little longer. We can go to like 11:10 because this is a good discussion. So if we need to go, it's okay.
Please make the argument for PayPal as a value trap. I'd love to hear the counter argument. Is it just like free cash flow is falling, the transaction margin is falling, and they're not going to turn it around by the time they're going to turn it around?
So I don't know that you can, you can make the argument for anything about anything being a value trap, but they have a new CEO coming in who's a stud.
How do you know that though?
Yeah, I'll make the case. I mean, I think that if Apple Pay is taking a very big chunk of this audience for payments, okay, but on the digital wallet side, not necessarily on the processing side for merchants and these sorts of things. So that's why I'm excited about Braintree and the new CEO. And I think that's why they picked him. First of all, I'm just going to add a little bit to the bull case, is that I don't think they can compete with the likes of Apple Pay and Google Pay because they are hard wallets, right? Like physical in your hand. PayPal's not coming out with a phone anytime soon. But that being said, they can compete on the merchant side of the business and offer some of the best checkout experiences that, even Shopify uses PayPal for like a large percentage of their overall transactions. I think it makes up for like 5% of PayPal's total transactions are through Shopify.
If free cash flow stays at this rate or anywhere near it, and they continue to buy back shares, this doesn't become a value trap because the earnings are going to continue to grow like wildfire. I mean, we're not talking about a 500 billion market cap. We're talking about a market cap of $65 billion. And at this rate, PayPal can buy back the entire company in 12 years.
How much revenue do they do on a trailing 12 months?
28 billion.
They do 28 billion in revenue. And the market cap 65.
28.
I think they did 7 billion this quarter or something like that. They did 7.3 billion this last quarter.
And if you look at how other companies are valued, and people were knocking that I valued them next to Shopify, but I did it for a very specific reason because they were both standouts during the pandemic, and they're both in the tech online space. And when you look at what the market, I'll show it. Tanner, go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to add, like, I think part of my bull case for like Cash App, for example, which was another big competitor that's fighting against Venmo, growing faster than Venmo, everything like this. They just pulled out of their EU prospects. So they were in Spain and these sorts of places. They just said, you know what? We're not doing it. The customer acquisition cost is way too high. The revenue's down.
Cash App specifically pulled out of Spain.
Cash App and Afterpay, both. Pulled out of their EU prospects. Okay. That was my big bull case for Cash App, is that, you know what, there's a possibility that like all payment companies love cross-border transactions. The take rates are higher. They're very excited about that space, and things are actually going much more global. Things like Fiverr.
There's a dude from Italy who pays me for some stuff, and PayPal takes a good chunk of that. And so, yeah, you're right about the foreign transaction things. You're correct.
Yeah, man.
Tell me how these numbers make sense, please. I mean, sometimes the market, sometimes people value things wrong, and sometimes people pay more than what they should. I mean,
Careful.
And Tanner, I know you like Shopify. I'm not shitting on Shopify here. I'm just saying that when I ran these numbers for my PayPal article a week and a half ago, you can't tell me that if you're going to buy an entire company, that you would rather buy Shopify at $74 billion than PayPal at $68 billion, when PayPal's revenue is more than about 4.5x. They're generating 3.5x the gross profit. They're widely profitable compared to Shopify, yet Shopify is valued more. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And this isn't the only example like this. Like, there are other companies that should not be valued anywhere near PayPal that are or valued more.
It's apples to oranges, man. It's like comparing like Walmart to like.
You can compare any company, because at the end of the day, a dollar is a dollar. If I create widgets and you create routers, we are still generating USD on revenue and USD for profits. Like
that's your value brain going, Stephen.
No,
the market is forward looking. Growth rate is a serious thing that has to be accounted for. And a dollar is not a dollar when you're looking, 2, 3, 4, 5 years out, because Shopify can smoke PayPal in terms of growth rates.
Okay, in terms of growth rates, fine. But in terms of profitability, I mean, if one company is generating consistently 4 or 5 billion in profits, another company is losing money and just gets profitable and then makes 500 million over a 4-year period.
All right. Well, let me put it.
I mean, it's a ridiculous thing, because you have one company that, while they didn't grow, they still generated 20 billion in profit.
Let me put it to you this way: a dollar's a dollar, right? And PayPal's profitable. Why don't you just take all your SoFi money and put it all into PayPal? Because a dollar's a dollar.
So
I don't think that's
a very smart ass answer.
No, but I mean, like, you are investing in SoFi for the growth. And so,
no, because you know why that's not a fair argument either, is because he doesn't own 100% of the company, and other people get to price the value of that business, and he doesn't get to take the free cash flow.
Well, and it's not just that, because I'm not in control of the market, and I don't know all the variables, and I don't know what's going to happen, and I don't pigeonhole myself and just go with what I think is the best thing, because I don't know. So I spread my bets evenly, and I do think SoFi has long-term potential, more potential than PayPal to make me money. In the immediate term, PayPal may have more potential. Now, I don't know which one's going to happen first, so I spread my bets.
Yeah, look, all I'm saying is, when I put money, and I get that, the diversification, I get it. It totally makes sense. When I put money into the market, I'm putting money knowing I'm going to lock that up for 5 or 10 years personally, and I know a lot of people do. So I want a stock or a company that's going to be multiples larger in 10 years than it is today. And if you just
we get growth investing.
No, I know, but like,
no, PayPal could also be an acquisition target. Don't forget that.
By who?
By who? Dude, at these levels, somebody like Visa would probably love to buy PayPal.
I agree. I agree. I think the amount of tech that PayPal has is so underrated. Now, let me just
MasterCard or
also
Visa
add this.
would love to buy them. And don't forget about Apple. I mean, look, I love Dan Ives, but $50 billion for ESPN is, I mean, I don't see that. I think they would be better off buying PayPal.
So I just wanted to add, by the way, like PayPal is still growing. People are pricing it like it's dying. Do I think it's going to recover up to $300? No. So that's another thing too. I think it was way overvalued. Okay. But do I think that this stock can go to $90, $100? Yes. And I think that'll turn around pretty quickly whenever transaction margins turn around.
If it goes to 90 or 100, it'll still trade at a valuation of a boring industrial company.
I do think,
and that's my biggest thing. Like, this is not a boring industrial company. And I mean, I would think fair value is well above where it is today. And that's why I'm buying shares. And my plan is to continue buying shares over the next 3 to 4 weeks.
Okay.
And then, Tanner, I made another interesting purchase this week.
What's that?
Oh boy, I know what this is.
This is
I know what
fucking
this
heavy,
is.
man.
Do you guys know what this is?
No, what is it?
Fucking
Take a
heavy.
guess. Take a guess. It's from
A bar
Japan.
of silver?
It's from
I don't know.
Japan.
It's gonna be like some World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
No, man. You guys need to know what this is. Good. He's getting into this rabbit hole of this shit, and he's putting real money.
Did you
into
look
it.
at the PowerPoint, sir?
No, I still don't look at the PowerPoint. Bro. I
What?
forgot.
You didn't look at the PowerPoint? I look at everything you asked me to look at.
I forgot.
I asked you to look at one freaking PowerPoint.
Steve, my girlfriend was ringing up my phone this week.
Everyone's saying Pokemon.
Is that a box of playing cards?
Pokemon cards.
It is a case of Obsidian Flame. Yes.
Dude, honestly, I'll send you an interview that'll change your whole mind.
And guess what? He's not even opening the box. It's supposed to be a pristine box. You don't open the fucking box. I was like, you want to find your fucking Pikachu? He's like, nope, I don't even want to open it. I'm like, what?
So,
what is going on here?
I need you to share my screen. Give me 1 sec.
Steve, we got to do Palantir, bro.
Okay, we will. Hold on.
We cannot do a Pokemon tangent.
We're not.
Yeah, dude, the Pokemon stuff is.
Just share it, please.
Pokemon stuff reminds me of lottery tickets.
This is every box.
It is. It's a lottery ticket.
This is every box since February 2014. Okay. The freaking boxes have matured so much that when I ran these numbers against what the S&P has done, okay,
sure,
since XY, which was 2/4/2014, if you had bought one of every box, would have cost you $3,675. It would be worth over almost $18,000 today. A gross profit would have beat the S&P by 180%. Gross profit is, to me, selling to somebody individually. Net profit would be selling on eBay, the 13.5% fees, and then shipping. You would have generated 311% on your money versus 203% on the S&P. Like, this is a crazy thing that I'm getting involved with. Big time.
This is wild.
Sealed.
We will talk about this in Vegas.
Investing.
We will
Vegas,
look at the PowerPoint
baby.
in the casino.
Sealed.
And
You know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of that movie, The 4-Year-Old Virgin, where he has like all the dolls, and then at the very end of the movie, he like sells all of them for like thousands of dollars to like fund whatever the hell he's funding. Like when he gets the girlfriend.
Fund his Vegas trip.
Yeah.
All right.
God damn it.
Thanks,
Steve,
everyone.
check your Twitter. I sent you the Palantir link. Thank you, everybody. If you're interested in Palantir, you can join. We're starting that in 1 minute. This is a good episode. We'll talk more SoFi and PayPal next week on SoFi Weekly.
Seriously,
Jeez.
Tevis.
Stop talking. We're ending the show.
I thought he did end it. No,
No, I didn't end it. Bye, everybody.
See y'all.
In all
Wait, hold on.
seriousness,
It's not
guys,
ended yet. Okay.